Hello, and welcome to the show Writing in the Tiny House. The entire point of this podcast is to help the tormented artist by sharing what I know about writing, publishing, and stress management so that you can have the tools to produce the content that you have been eager to write. If you have the steps in place, you can produce a short story in as few as 3 months or a novel in as few as 18 months. And hopefully through the ideas in this podcast, you will have the wisdom to adjust that timeline if you need to. I am Devin Davis, the guy who lives and writes in a tiny house in northern Utah. Thank you for tuning in, and please enjoy today's episode of Writing in the Tiny House.
Hello and welcome to the show. Welcome to Writing in the Tiny House. Today we have another episode of me live in the moment throughout the past few weeks. We've had episodes like this before. This is me recording my thoughts as I have been going through this beta reader process with my beta reading team. And so yeah, we just have 3 clips today and the content is pretty good. Things get kind of real in one of the clips. I just feel I need to say that, and then they get better. Sometimes it can be hard to deal with constructive criticism, no matter who you are or how many times you've been through this. So anyway, go ahead and sit back and enjoy today's episode.
Good morning. It is August 25th, and I sent out my copies of Tiz to my beta readers just Sunday, and today is Thursday, so it's been a couple days. Some of them have already read it, but they are compiling feedback for me, and so I haven't received a ton of feedback. Others have said that they are in it and they're enjoying it, and so that's always a good thing, right? Right now I'm in my car headed to work, but I wanted to share a little bit about a lesson in Googling words that you make up. So in the story Tiz is a linguist, and so there are words from other languages that she just kind of throws into her, into her native speak, which I figured would be completely fine, especially if she knows many languages. And I figured those things would be insults, they would be colloquialisms, they would be like the easy things that are pretty knee-jerk to say, especially if you speak that particular language natively. Anyway, so there are some words that are real, there are some words that are not real, and I made up a couple of them and figured, yeah, that kind of works. It looks like a word that I am going for. It has a spelling that kind of matches what I want, and so let's add it in, and it's going to be fine. I found out that one of those words, and it's actually not an expression, it's a noun that is in the book that is on the island that they visit. It's a thing, and I made it up on purpose. I found out at 2 a.m, so I wasn't awake at 2 a.m, but one of my beta readers sent me a text at 2 a.m. I have no idea what he was doing at that time, saying that particular word is actually a vulgar word in Hawaiian. And I had no idea. I made up these words. And so with that word, what happened was a friend sent me the name of a plant, and then I switched some things around in that word to land on the word that I used in the book. But I didn't Google the word that I used in the book, and apparently it is, and it is the way that I spelled it, kind of a dirty, vulgar term. And I don't want that, so I'm obviously going to be changing it, but at this point, I'm kind of interested to see if my other beta readers are going to pick up on that, just because I had no idea. I thought I made up that word completely. But here's my friend from Arizona. I have no idea what his exposure is to Hawaiian anything, but he called it out, and we had a laugh a little bit over text message. I mean, I wasn't awake, but, I laughed. I'm sure he laughed. So thank goodness for that, so that someone I didn't know or someone who didn't know me didn't stumble across it and get offended. So that's part of the fun adventures for today already.
Hey, it's September 4th. So I have been getting feedback from some of my beta readers, and a lot of them have been along the same lines. Everything has been pretty surface level-y, a little review that they could send as a text message saying like the relationship's pretty good, like things are good, and I like that things are good. However, I sent it to another beta reader who's an old friend, and she took it very, very seriously, which I admire and I didn't ask for, but she read it more than once, and to confirm her suspicions about how it needed help, she read 8 books in between reading Tiz and giving me a review. Her review was 5 typed pages probably, I don't know. It took a long time to read everything that she wrote. And here's the deal, guys. One of the biggest points that she made that is sticking with me now. So Tiz is a novella. I wrote Tiz with the intention of having it be a short story. And Tiz right now is very compact. There's only a couple characters. There's only 4 of them that have lines. And I wanted it to have the qualities of a short story, but there was still too much for it to even be a short story, and it ended up being a novella. That just suggests that it shouldn't be a novella either, that it needs to be a full-blown novel. And what this beta reader suggested was that if this is the launch of a series, which it is, this is what should have been the first introduction of My World of Vlador, that any reader who knows nothing about any of this would get. And so that suggests that the world building and the magic system need to be nailed down. And the intricacies of all of that and the social and political implications in my world that were alluded to in Tiz could not be fleshed out in the length of a novella. So it seems like Tiz as a novella is not going to be released, and I get to rewrite it. It doesn't mean that it's garbage. It means that it's wonderful reference material, but I get to add more characters so that I can better flesh out this legal system, this political problem, and with the way and better establish the magic system as it is and what Tiz does to bring innovation to it in this first book. And unless this first introduction to My World of Vlador is a full-blown fantasy novel, which is long, fantasy novels are long, there is too much intricacy in it, there's too much detail, there's just too much for me to gloss over it and have it be successful. So we're rewriting again, and the thing is that feels right. I fully know that if I want Tiz to be a novella, it gets to be a novella, and I'm the one who gets to make the decisions with my writing. At the same time, it is more important for me to make it right. And that insight really struck me yesterday. I've gotten plenty of good feedback that it is okay as it is, but if we are carrying on as a series, it gets to be different. So hooray for beta readers, right?
Good morning. It is September 13th. So this beta reading project, this whole thing. So first of all, things have calmed down. the last little bit when I received that specific feedback from that you heard about in the previous recording, it was rough. But things have continued on from there. I still had other people to receive feedback from, and it has been such a mind-opening experience with Tiz. So I gave the manuscript to some of my closest friends and to some people that I don't know very well. And the reviews have been kind of all over the place. One guy said that the relationship in the story was his very favorite part, but some of the description toward the end needed to be more developed. Another lady that I gave the book to, like, we went and had drinks, and she had different things in the book bookmarked so that she could share them with me and just gush about how delightful the descriptions of the settings were. And she would read specific parts and then read them again. And she said that in her mind, it was like an old movie that she would just love to play again and again. And she actually read the story more than once. I actually gave it to my ex-wife. She actually read it, and she had nothing but fun things to say about it. She also has a very different background in regards to this story, because we were together for 10 years, and this has been in development for longer than 10 years. And so she loved hearing some of the names in this book that she has heard before. And she loved to kind of see that nod towards some stuff that I've already done and some stuff that I'm going to be bringing out later that she knows is on the horizon, because we were together and I shared all of these things with her years ago. Another reader said that there's a main character and then there's the character who is the narrator. And he is the only one who said that the narrator character was kind of all over the place, that his moods were unpredictable, and that made him a bit unrelatable, which is good to know. He was unique in that feedback, though. Another lady said that, so she read this book twice, and she said that she was blown away by the quality of the writing. I mean, she knows me. We have been friends for for about half our lives. She knows me. She knows what I do. She knows what I do in other ways. I mean, she and I, she still is a pastry chef, but when I was into baking years and years ago, she knew what I could do with that stuff. And so she expected good quality from this, just because it seems that people who produce quality tend to produce quality in many different ways, I guess. And she ended up reading the book twice as well, and she was astounded by how much she was swept away by the story. And she doesn't usually read fantasy, but she finds that the things that she likes the most in writing is when the writer doesn't bog down things with too much description. She finds that for her, the writer just needs to provide kind of the outline. I mean, if this were a coloring book, just kind of the basic picture, and then she can fill in the colors. And she liked that about this book. And I've mentioned before that this book was meant to be a short story. It's not going to be a short story, but it was meant to be a short story, and so everything in it is pretty condensed. And so there is less description and less stuff like that in it, and fewer characters and fewer people speaking and whatever, because I did that on purpose. I'm going to pad that out with the next revision, but this particular beta reader said that she really, really liked that. She found the experience to be really immersive and really exciting. This isn't a genre that she usually reads, and so she was just delighted by it, and I loved that. Another person said that, I mean, just to demonstrate that people kind of read the way that they read, I said that the one lady loved the description of the settings. A gentleman said that the settings kind of needed to have more in them. And something that he said that I found to be kind of unique, and he's the only one who said it this way, but he said that whenever the narrator character was talking about Tiz, who's the main character, and they are in a relationship, the writing tended to be more tender. The writing tended to be more descriptive and more intentional and more endearing. He said a lot of words like that. I don't remember specifically what he's. I don't remember the specific words, but there was just it seemed more important and just better whenever the narrator character was referring to Tiz. And I liked that little note. So the beta reader program isn't finished yet. We know that my next revision is going to be larger. It is going to be padding out this story so that it can be a proper representation of a first look into this world that I'm building, and I completely agree with the feedback that I got from that. And so I am going to start redrafting Tiz in a while, but I'm actually going to take a break from drafting. I'll probably start maybe in November. Maybe with NaNoWriMo I can actually do it this year. But I'm not making any promises. Right now we are mid-ish September. I have some other things that I would like to do with my life, and it is time to simply take a break from writing. I'm going to be doing some different things with the podcast, though. I mentioned some guided meditations and some different things like that, and I can do that here. And it's just kind of the time and season to do that, to let some specific things go, to let some things settle in. And it seems that I do my very best drafting in November and December anyway, so we're just going to roll with that. So that is my adventure with Tiz right now, and yeah, we'll dive back into redrafting this upcoming fall, and that's okay. Sometimes you get to write a book a few times, so that's how it goes. And that is it for today. Before we go, I need to say that my current work in progress, Tiz, the next installment of Tales from Vlador, is ready for beta readers, people to read the novella and share with me their experience. It's a big, important step before publishing. So if you wish to be a part of this project, reach out to me on my social media handles. On Instagram, I'm at author Devin Davis, and on Twitter, I'm at author Devin D. And remember that my short story Brigitte is available on Amazon as an ebook and on Audible as an audiobook. Check those out today. Run by copy editor Chrissy Barton, Little Syllables Editing is a reliable resource for anyone looking to improve their manuscript. Chrissy does line edits, copy edits, and the final proofread for experienced writers and newbies alike. Go to littlesyllables.com and reach out to Chrissy today. A link is in the show notes.